Hey everybody, welcome back to the Laps Comic Fan, and today we're talking Boom Studios, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, number 1. So, Power Rangers to me is very nostalgic. I used to watch the show. I was a little bit older than the age group it was made for, but I was really into martial arts, and I always loved superheroes, and I was always into Godzilla and any rubber suit type monster. And when I saw all three of these things combined, it caught my eye, regardless of how childish or what the storylines could be. But they did have some really good stories inside their Monster of the Week episodes. It was like nothing that we had ever seen before as kids. You could tell something was different, but until you would either read magazines or hear about how they made the show, I had told the story before, I didn't know at first this was the same show, but I had seen these characters before. I had a tape that we used to get anime out of the back of, I can't remember what magazine it was, but you were able to get these anime tapes, and we got one, and it was just a regular VHS tape with no sleeve or anything like that, and had a couple anime movies on there. One was Black Magic M66, and I think the other one was like Lily Cat or something. It was like some like hentai fucking weird movie. But at the end of it were 2 episodes of Kiru Sentai Zyuranger, or Zyuranger. But it was weird because when I saw the preview for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I was like, that looks like exactly like that show. And when I saw the characters morphed for the promos that they were running, I was like, wait a minute. And I put in my tape and I was like, this is the same thing. But the ones that we had from Zyuranger were not dubbed or subbed. They were just straight Japanese with no subbing on it or anything like that. Now, the movies that we had were subbed really poorly too. And it was crazy to see because I thought, okay, this is the American version of this show. I had no idea how it was made or anything of that nature. I didn't know what they were doing until I saw the show itself. I mean, this was huge, guys. I know things now are big and there's like popular shows, but media and things were so different back then, before like the internet was mass marketed and everybody had it. Things were gigantic. Like you could go to like a Power Rangers show and they took them all over the United States, and there was places that were sold out, and you like backed up highways, parents trying to get their kids to see the Power Rangers, and they were actually the ones from the show there, and they were in costume. I never got to see it. I probably would not have gone to see it. I thought I had watched more than I did. I only got to see the first couple of seasons and a little bit of the third. Anything after the movie, I didn't really see. So I never saw Turbo, Zeo, and all of those shows. I went out and I bought the box set of the first 3 seasons. This is called the Complete Morphin Era series. And I went and I watched every single episode. And the first season has like 63 episodes or something like that. And everybody knows, if you're watching this, you know the story of the Zoo 2 footage, and you know how all that stuff was done. But for me, where it really hits is the Green Ranger saga, the Green with Evil saga. That to me was huge, because I remember when that happened in 1993 or 4, whatever it was, and it was crazy because you never see that type of stuff anymore with like 5-part series for kid shows. My son watches a lot of stuff, but we let him watch certain things from now because the shows now just seem really stupid for kids, and it's just a bunch of nonsense. So a lot of the stuff he watches is older stuff. He watches like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, The Adventures of the Gummy Bears. He watches Power Rangers and stuff like that. So, and a lot of like Bugs Bunny, and he loves like the old Disney, like Donald Duck, Chip and Dale cartoons. So I wanted to do this, and when I heard a couple of years ago that they made a comic book series, I was just like, oh, that's interesting, you know, because I had seen comics before from the Power Rangers, and they were just goofy and dumb. But supposedly these were more mature and taken seriously. And I had never heard of Boom Studios before, so I wanted to check it out and see what it was. And where it came on my radar was I saw Comics Explained do a show about it, and he was talking about how awesome it was. And I was like, all right, if Rob thinks this is good, then I got to check it out. So I went out and I bought the first issue, and I bought like the sequential issues after that in trade. But where I really started hearing more about it was, before I bought the issues, was Shattered Grid. That's like where I think most people started getting on the bandwagon of the Power Rangers as a comic book. And that led to a lot of people watching the old show, because you're comparing the comic to the show. Now, I went out and bought more of the sets because I thought these were awesome, and they were super cheap, guys. They were so cheap. I bought like all of these DVDs right here cost less than $100. So I thought that was amazing, and the Shout Factory did an amazing job putting them together. I've seen some other sets that weren't that great, but the Shout Factory ones are awesome. And what I'd like to do as we go on, we're probably going to give away some seasons of Power Rangers. I'm definitely going to give away the complete series of SPD. And while we're doing the Mighty Morphin Era, I'm going to give away Season 2, Volume 1. Because the White Ranger I liked quite a bit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get into Boom Studios Power Rangers #1. It's written by Kyle Higgins and art by Henry, I don't know how to say his name, Presetia. If I butchered the name, I'm completely sorry. So let's get right into Power Rangers #1.
Issue 1 starts off with Bulk and Skull filming their web show Ranger Station, as they give us the backstory of when the city of Angel Grove, California first learned the name of Rita Repulsa and her quest to conquer the world. That day may be remembered for bringing an age of destruction and monsters, but they remember it for being the day the world got heroes. And who are these heroes? The Power Rangers. Who are they? Where did they come from? How did they get their powers and their giant robots? They go on to explain that Rita has been attacking for a while unsuccessfully and being thwarted by the Rangers every time. So Rita had to create her own Ranger, the Green Ranger. The Green Ranger and his Dragon Zord looked unstoppable, but the Rangers finally overcame and defeated him, which leads them to today's show. In a crazy turn of events, it looks as if the Dragon Zord, the Megazord, and all 6 Rangers are working together. But how will the masses respond?
So they're setting up this backstory with, they already told us that the Green Ranger, he was made bad by Rita. She took a kid and used her magic and made a Green Ranger, and they were fighting, and it was like their biggest challenge. Bulk kind of goes over with his little video podcast the whole narrative up until this point that you need to know. Rita came, monsters came, but as many people look at it as the day that there was monsters and destruction, he looks at it as the day that heroes were born, and those heroes are the Power Rangers. And they're very mythical. Where did they come from? What do they got? And so everybody's wondering. They take it almost realistically, like, where did they come from? That's what I would be thinking, like, what the hell's going on here? These people came out with giant dinosaurs. Where do those things hide? So it's kind of cool that they acknowledge the fact of, this is really ridiculous. The Green Ranger was their biggest fight to that point. They had been wiping the floor with Rita, and all of a sudden the tables were turned and the Green Rangers started kicking their butt. And then all of a sudden they helped him, they broke the spell, and now they're fighting together. They're on a team. But how do people respond to that? You see the Green Ranger fighting them, and then the next minute he's on their team. Because people don't know the inner workings of what goes on, because the Power Rangers to them are a mystery. Their identities are not known.
Bulk starts interviewing students about the Ranger's new teammate, and some of them are not so trusting of the Green Ranger, and think the other Rangers shouldn't be so trusting either, since there was an incident on a bridge, and they seem to think that the Dragon Zord had something to do with its destruction. Billy and Trini are the only ones with anything positive to say about the Green Ranger.
So they're interviewing people, and a lot of people are just like, hey, there's this incident on a bridge, and it looks like that the Green Ranger was involved, so maybe the Power Rangers shouldn't trust this guy. And that's a lot of what the beginning of this comic series is based upon. Is Tommy trustworthy? And rightfully so. When your mind is screwed with or with any type of thing, you don't know what's residually there. If you're taking this in the light of what happens in this world, we don't know if just by breaking her spell, does that completely break what happened to his mental and psychosis? Like, we don't know that. And they really hit hard on that in this first issue, which I think is a good idea. Because you don't always have to have action, boom, 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 for the beginning of your story. You can do that later on, but if we set up the characters well, that makes the action feel bigger and more important.
Tommy is the new kid in school, and Bulk asks him what the Power Rangers mean to him, but he doesn't know how to answer them. Kimberly swoops in and gets him out of it and asks if he has plans later. So they're kind of already setting up some type of relationship between them, just like the show. Tommy has to go to the command center and train, so they figure they'll go together and maybe get a coffee afterwards.
They set up the Tommy-Kimberly relationship right off the bat. Bulk's asking everybody, about the Power Rangers, and he comes to Tommy, which is great because he's the Green Ranger. So when he asks him, what does the Power Rangers mean to you, being the new kid in the school, it's like, you're new, you must have just moved here or something. So this is all new to you, having Power Rangers. But also it works on the level of, he is the new Green Ranger, so what do the Power Rangers mean to him? He doesn't know how to answer that question. And Kimberly comes in and saves him. They kind of make like a date after they go to the command center to train. They're going to go out and get coffee. But I thought that was a really good way of showing the similarities between his out-of-Ranger life and his Ranger life. Because he's the new kid at school, he's also the new Ranger on the team.
While at lunch, Tommy is seen trying to find a table, and this is where we get a big piece of his troubles from being under Rita's magic. While walking, he starts to see visions of her, and she's taunting him about a video seen all over the news and the internet by the students, where she says the Megazord wrecked a bridge, and Tommy almost killed all those people. He argues back and says, "You won't break me." Tommy sees his friends and goes to sit down, but the bell rings, so the others have to go to class, leaving Tommy alone with nothing but his thoughts. During more interviews, Bulk talks to Jason and Zach and asks if they think the Rangers can trust the Green Ranger. Jason says everyone deserves second chances. Zach looks skeptical. Jason also adds that if the Rangers believe in him, then it's good enough for him. So they're already setting up some mistrust because of the things that the Green Ranger has done and been under Rita's spell. That with Zach, he's kind of like, maybe not.
So Tommy's going to the cafeteria for lunch, and he's walking by these tables, and all of a sudden Rita's there. He starts seeing Rita. So we're like, oh wow, this is pretty messed up. And she brings up people have been watching this video and what had happened before in those interviews that Bulk was doing where they were talking about the bridge incident. So it kind of looks like in the video that everybody is seeing that the Megazord had destroyed this bridge. So people are skeptical of Tommy being really good. And all these kids are watching it. Everywhere he goes past, people are watching this video, and she's taunting him with that. So that plays into his self-doubt and how he feels alone. And they hit on it here because he's like, you won't break me. And he goes to sit down with his friends, but then the bell rings, and they all have to go because this isn't Tommy's actual lunch period. So they all have to go to class, and he's sitting there by himself. And it's like, ooh, he's actually alone in this, even though he's on a team. It was very, very well done, and I liked it. So Bulk continues his interviews, and he's talking to Jason and Zach, and this is very interesting because Jason says, if the Power Rangers trust this Green Ranger, then I'll trust him, because Bulk is still talking to people. What do you guys think about the Green Ranger? Should the Power Rangers trust him? And Zach is the only one that kind of feels a little bit skeptical. You could tell he feels skeptical. And Tommy's like, hey, if the Rangers trust him, that's good enough for me. So earlier in the comic, Zach and Jason got detention because Zach had been falling asleep in class. He's having some home problems, but they don't tell us what that is right now. So they're in detention, Jason and Zach Zach says, hey, did you really mean what you said earlier to Bulk, that, everybody deserves second chances? Yeah, Zordon trusts him, and, I feel we should, roll along with the flow. And Zach's kind of like, well, Zordon didn't even bring it up to us. He just kind of said, hey, you're on the team now, Green Ranger. And it's like, So he's the one that's being level-headed about it and looking at it from all angles.
In the training simulator, Tommy and Kimberly are in a very high-pressure situation, with tons of putties attacking, and they're trying to get the survivors out to safety. Zordon lets Tommy know they're running out of time, and the group has sustained a lot of injuries. He has to make a decision on the best route to safety. He makes his choice, and while they're running, the group is surrounded by a horde of putties, and Rita appears to Tommy again, and lets him know when it really counted, he failed these people too, and they get overrun. Tommy takes it very hard, and Kimberly says that is the point of the simulator, plus it was an impossible mission. Zordon tells Tommy this was set up this way, and had he chose the other path, he would have led them right into a path of a monster attack. This was a training sequence designed for failure and hard decision making, because sometimes as a ranger, you will be forced to make hard decisions. Tommy says let's run it again, and blows off Kimberly for their coffee date.
Tommy and Kimberly are at the command center in the training simulator. We find out that Zordon has put them to a no-win situation, the old Kobayashi Maru. And Tommy has a choice for these survivors, either go this way or this way. So he chooses this path over here because this path is blocked by a giant monster. But what happens is they end up getting overrun by putties, and he fails. But the point of the simulation was to fail. And Tommy was like, huh? What the heck? Tommy can't get over everything because Rita's there, and she's still messing with him. Like, you failed, and you failed these people, and you failed them too. And he's just in his head. So Zordon's trying to explain to him that, this is set up to fail. You made the decision quickly, and that's what this was about. You succeeded in that aspect, but Tommy just can't get over it. And so when Kimberly's done and ready to go for their coffee date, he's like, I'll catch up with you. He's like, I'm going to do this training again. So we see that he just can't accept failure because he probably feels so bad for being under Rita's spell and all the destruction that he caused his new friends plus Angel Grove.
Tommy goes home and reflects on the training simulator and lays down and thinks about the question Bulk asked him earlier. What do the Power Rangers mean to him? It's a really, really good question. But he doesn't have much time to think about it because Scorpina appears to him and has a sword to his throat.
At the end, it comes to the point where it's the question that Bulk had asked him, what do the Rangers mean to me? And he can't even think about it because Scorpina appears and has her blade to his neck, and that's where the comic ends. I thought it was really, really well written. I thought that it was written very well because it hits everything that it needs to hit that they're telling the story on with the Green Ranger. I'm kind of on the whole. It's kind of like the series because, man, once Tommy was in the series, it was the Tommy Oliver show. I hope the rest of this is not so Green Ranger centric. I'd like to get to know the other people too. I mean, Billy and Trini were in it for all of like 2 panels. So I'm sure there's going to be more of it, and we'll see as we go on. So next week, we will be on issue number 2 of Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And we will also be talking about Season 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the show. Well, I'm the Laps Comic Fan. I hope you enjoyed. And hey, if you like the content, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button also. Or smash the like button and smash the subscribe. Smash them like Hulk. And let me know, guys. Would you guys be interested in either of these giveaways? If you are, I'll do them. If not, I'll keep them. Peace out.